Emma Holloway believed she had finally found the peaceful future she had dreamed about when she married Ryan after years of laughter, shared goals, and quiet evenings that convinced her nothing could ever break the life they had built together. Growing up in a house filled with constant arguments had left invisible scars on Emma, yet Ryan always promised that their home would be different, making every promise sound so believable that she never imagined those words would one day become painful memories. Emma worked hard to earn a successful career while Ryan encouraged her to chase every opportunity, often telling friends that he was proud of her determination even though small changes in his behavior slowly appeared where love had once been strongest. Her younger cousin Lily frequently visited their home because the family had always been close, and Emma never questioned the friendly conversations or cheerful smiles that seemed completely harmless until tiny moments began to feel strangely uncomfortable. One rainy evening Ryan claimed he needed to travel for an urgent business meeting, but a surprising phone call from one of Emma's coworkers revealed that he had been seen checking into a luxury hotel only a few miles away, leaving Emma with a terrible feeling she could no longer ignore. Unable to silence the fear inside her heart, Emma drove to the hotel and watched from across the parking lot as Ryan warmly embraced Lily before they disappeared inside together, and the heartbreaking sight shattered every belief she had about trust. When Ryan finally returned home the next morning, Emma confronted him with tears in her eyes and demanded the truth. But instead of showing guilt, he coldly admitted that he no longer wanted their marriage and insisted that he deserved someone who made him feel alive again. Lily refused to apologize and claimed that love could not be controlled, while several relatives shocked Emma by asking her to move on quietly instead of creating family drama, making her realize that betrayal sometimes grows strongest among the people closest to you. As the emotional pain became almost unbearable, Emma learned that she was expecting a baby and hoped the news might somehow change everything. Yet endless stress and sleepless nights led to a heartbreaking medical emergency that stole the future she had already begun imagining. Ryan never visited the hospital or answered her desperate messages during those painful days, and while Emma lay staring at the ceiling wondering how life had become so cruel, one unexpected visitor quietly stepped into her room with an offer that would change everything. Sophia, Emma's oldest friend from college, held her hand through every painful moment and gently suggested leaving their hometown behind, explaining that sometimes healing begins only after closing the door on the place where every memory continues to hurt. Although the decision terrified her, Emma packed a single suitcase and moved with Sophia to a quiet coastal city where nobody knew her past, and every unfamiliar street slowly gave her another reason to believe that life could still surprise her. The first few months were difficult because trust no longer came naturally, yet kind neighbors, supportive coworkers, and peaceful evenings helped Emma rebuild the confidence that had been stolen from her one heartbreaking lie at a time. One afternoon she met Nathan while volunteering at a local community event, and instead of trying to impress her with charming words he simply listened carefully whenever she spoke, making his quiet honesty feel far more comforting than empty promises. Nathan never pressured Emma to share details about her painful past, but as their friendship grew stronger she eventually told him everything, and rather than judging her he reminded her that another person's betrayal could never define her worth. Over the next 2 years their friendship slowly turned into love built on patience, respect, and countless small acts of kindness, leaving Emma amazed that genuine happiness often arrives when someone stops searching for it. After they married, Emma finally felt safe enough to dream about becoming a mother again, and when a doctor confirmed that she was expecting a healthy baby she cried with relief while Nathan celebrated as though every wish they had ever made was finally coming true. They decided to keep the pregnancy private until the right time because Emma wanted to protect her peace, and for several wonderful months the outside world seemed far away while their little home filled with excitement about the future. Everything changed when an unexpected email appeared in Emma's old inbox from Ryan, who claimed that his life had completely fallen apart after marrying Lily and begged her to remember the wonderful years they had once shared together. As Emma continued reading, Ryan described endless arguments, broken trust, and constant disappointment before asking for another chance, but the final sentence made her freeze because he insisted that destiny had always intended them to find each other again. Emma stared at the glowing screen for several silent minutes while memories she had fought hard to bury rushed back without warning, and although the pain felt familiar, she also realized she was no longer the frightened woman who had once believed her life was over. Nathan noticed the tears in her eyes and quietly sat beside her without asking unnecessary questions, and after reading the message he gently reminded her that someone who only returns after losing everything is usually searching for comfort instead of offering real love. Ryan sent another email later that evening claiming that Lily had betrayed him several times and that he finally understood the pain he had caused Emma. But every paragraph focused on his own misery instead of taking responsibility for the choices that had destroyed their marriage. Emma remembered the lonely hospital room where she had waited for a husband who never came, and that memory alone was enough to remind her that no apology could erase the deepest wounds left by abandonment. After thinking carefully through the night, Emma decided she would reply one final time so there would never be another unanswered question between them, and she wanted her words to close the door forever instead of reopening the past. Her message explained that she had built a beautiful new life filled with honesty, respect, and genuine love, and she wished him nothing except the chance to learn from his mistakes somewhere far away from her family. Less than an hour later, Ryan responded by insisting they were meant to be together forever and claiming that nobody could replace what they once had, but his desperate words only confirmed that he still cared more about his own feelings than the damage he had caused. The following morning, Emma received another surprise when two separate emails arrived from her aunt and from Lily, and both messages congratulated her on the pregnancy as though the years of betrayal and silence had never happened. Emma felt her hands begin to shake because she had never shared the news publicly, and the frightening realization that someone had been searching for information about her left her wondering how much they actually knew. Nathan immediately promised that nobody would be allowed to disturb the peaceful life they had created together, but just as Emma began to calm down, an unfamiliar number flashed across her phone with a message that made her heart race once again. Nathan quickly blocked the unknown number before it could send another message, and although he remained calm on the outside, he quietly contacted a lawyer and a trusted family friend in law enforcement to understand what steps they could take if anyone tried to interfere with Emma or their child. The legal advice was reassuring because they learned how to document every unwanted email and message while protecting their privacy, and Emma finally felt that she was no longer facing her fears alone because someone truly stood beside her. Sophia rushed over with homemade dinner and reminded Emma that real family is often made of the people who choose to love you without conditions, and the warm laughter around the table slowly replaced the heavy silence that had filled the house only a day earlier. A week later, Ryan sent one final email from a different address insisting that he had changed and deserved forgiveness, but Emma deleted it without opening the attachment because she refused to let curiosity become another trap. Lily attempted to reach Emma through mutual relatives by asking for a chance to explain everything that had happened, and although several family members encouraged reconciliation, Emma understood that forgiveness never requires inviting harmful people back into your life. Instead of answering the messages, Emma focused on preparing the nursery with Nathan, and every painted wall, folded blanket, and tiny pair of baby shoes reminded her that her future deserved far more attention than her painful past. Months passed peacefully until the day their beautiful daughter entered the world healthy and smiling, and as Nathan gently placed the baby in Emma's arms, she realized that hope could grow stronger than heartbreak if it was surrounded by genuine love. The arrival of their daughter transformed every ordinary moment into something unforgettable because even sleepless nights felt precious, and Emma often whispered promises that her little girl would always grow up knowing honesty, kindness, and unconditional support. News of the birth somehow reached Ryan once again through distant relatives, and although another message appeared asking to meet one last time, Emma simply smiled before pressing delete because the answer had already been given long ago. As Emma watched Nathan cradle their daughter near the living room window, she understood that the greatest victory was never proving her ex wrong but discovering a life so full of peace that the past no longer had the power to steal her happiness. Emma eventually realized that some questions never receive satisfying answers because not every betrayal has a reasonable explanation, and accepting that truth allowed her to stop searching for closure in people who had never valued her heart. She chose to remember the difficult years only as lessons that made her stronger instead of chains that kept her trapped, and every new sunrise reminded her that healing begins when someone finally gives themselves permission to move forward. One quiet evening, Emma, Nathan, Sophia, and their daughter gathered in the backyard watching the sunset paint the sky with beautiful colors. And as laughter filled the air, Emma silently thanked life for proving that even the darkest chapters can lead to the brightest endings. She no longer wondered whether Ryan regretted his decisions because his choices belonged to him while her future belonged to the loving family she had built with honesty and courage, and that simple realization brought a peace she had never believed was possible. Emma smiled as she held her daughter close and looked toward the future with complete confidence, and she knew that the greatest revenge had never been anger but creating a joyful life that no one could ever take away from her again. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.